Hey guys, how's it going? So I've got the new Nikon Z6ii and a lot of people have been asking me questions about how I have things set up because there's a lot of cool special things that you can do to make it really work for you and kind of unlock the camera's full potential. So I'm not going to go for a complete breakdown, just kind of the important things that I think are huge. So I mean, before I move on to the secondary menus, I'm just going to quickly show you that my image quality, if you're unsure what to set it to, I have it at 14-bit and I have it with lossless compressed, okay? So that's just my image quality. All this other kind of stuff is pretty straightforward. So anyway, I'm going to move across here to this setting. So this is where most of the good settings are hidden. And I'm just going to see if there's anything up the top. I don't think that there is. Wraparound, focus point wraparound, I have this on. And that just means that if the focus point moves to the right, and then it goes all the way to the right and you press right once more, it will then appear on the left hand side of the image. So it kind of just allows you to continue scrolling and appear on the opposite side of the image, kind of like the Nokia Snake game, but I just find that intuitive. That's just a random little side note. But skimming through all this kind of stuff, shutter type, by the way, I put it on mechanical shutter, just because it reduces the chance of you know, having any kind of light or banding issues, and for me it's super quiet, it's quiet enough, so that's kind of what I do there. But you can totally leave it on auto between those two. Silent shutter mode is the main one you ought to be worried about in terms of banding and that kind of thing. So just scrolling through the menu, this is where it gets interesting, okay? So down here on the customize menu icon, you can set up all this little grid. So if you press the I button on your camera while you're shooting, this little menu will come up and it allows you really easy access to all these things. So for me, the most important ones for me, silent shutter, if I ever want to use it, is right there. Shutter type, again, is right there. And actually, I'll actually show you here as if I'm shooting. So boom, bring this up and you can kind of scroll through them. And you can actually use your command dials to switch things on and off as well. So you don't even have to click in on them. You can just use the command dials to change through the options. So again, shutter type, oopsies, shutter type, you know, you can change between these modes. But the ones I've got set up, shutter type there, full frame if I wanted to change my crop or something, is what's there. My burst rate, in case I need to change to some high, fast, continuous FPS, I put that there. And you can just pause this menu and kind of copy my setup if you want to. Monitor brightness, I find that a helpful thing to have. Like if your monitor is too bright or it's too dark in the sun and you just need to punch it up, then you can do that. I usually leave it on auto, but if I'm going to be filming some video, I'll put it on 5 just so I can see it during the day. And my camera currently is set up for video because I've been filming some stuff. This also just tells me what memory cards I have in or out. So right now I know that I've got an empty SD card slot, which is just helpful for me to be able to see that I've got both my cards there. Active D-lighting, in case I want to change that. Release mode, obviously I've got it in 2 places, so I need to find something else that I can put here, but in the meantime, this will do the trick. And Bluetooth connections, in case I want to Wi-Fi any photos to my phone, is kind of handy. And apply settings to live view, which is like a setting for the dark. Again, it's another video topic. But coming back to the menu system, so that's how I've got all of that set up in terms of my custom I menu. But the next thing, which is really cool, is these custom controls, right? So if I scroll through here, you'll see that these are all different buttons on the camera, and those ones on the lens, which you can customize to be doing whatever you want, which is amazing. And there's so many good options here. So number 1, function button, I've got subject tracking. So essentially the way that subject tracking works is that, let me just show you rather than tell you. So if I'm in this menu and then I press that function 1 button, it brings up this box, right? And then once I activate that box, it will start tracking whatever thing I put inside that box. So, and then again, I press it again and it goes back to face tracking, right? So this is just face tracking mode where I can track people's faces super easily. But I really like this. It's kind of similar to 3D tracking if you're a Nikon shooter, and I love it. And I find that even if the subject's a bit smaller than the square, it will still retain what's in focus. So now just going back to my menu, my controls. So that's what I've got function button 1 set to, that subject tracking mode. So I just click that and it brings up that box and it helps me kind of change between those 2 main focus modes that I tend to use most of the time. The next thing I've got is function 2, which is set to magnify to 100. So for me, I just like this because it means that, again, if I were to be shooting, and I'm like, okay, cool, subject tracking on the flowers, and then I press this button, this function button, it just punches me in and out. And just allows me to kind of see what I'm focusing on. And again, for a face, what's really cool is if the face at the top is, you know, on the edge of the frame, I press that button and it brings me to where the focus point is at. So it's just a really easy way just to make sure, yep, he's in focus and the background isn't what's in focus. And I just like doing that for like family photos. And for that kind of stuff, it's just kind of handy just to make sure you can punch in and just confirm that your focus is all set. So that's that. Those are the two main things I like to be able to do. After that, I've got this thing, which is just standard, moving my focus point around. When I click it in, you can change what clicking it in does, but for me, it just resets the point back to center. Up here, I've changed my recording button in photos to be the button I can hold down if I want to switch between focus modes, which I just find super handy. So if I am to hold it down, then you see this menu come up. And if you look on the right where it's yellow, I can change between focus modes just with the command dials. And I've also, in another menu, just changed which focus modes come up. Because for me, these are the main focus modes I use. And I'm pretty much typically actually just switching between that and that, just those two. But anyway, that's that. And what else? What else is in here? Cool. And then, yeah, I mean, these are just lens ones, so I don't have any custom buttons on my lenses. Now, the other thing that is really cool is when you keep scrolling, cool, AF speed and AF sensitivity. So if you go back to the settings, we're now under G, which means we're under the movie mode. But if you change these settings in the movie submenu, you actually find that they affect the focus performance throughout the rest of the experience. So ignore the current settings here because these are wrong. This is what I have set up for video, which is more smooth. But if you want it to be amazing for photos and as fast as possible, obviously you just want to go all the way to the end spot, which is fastest. So +5 on AF speed under the G4 setting. And make sure it says always below here when it says when to apply. And I'm just going to change mine back because I've got it set up for video right now. So, and over here, AF tracking sensitivity, again, you just want to go to the extreme as high as possible. So when you come into this menu, you should want to see +5 and 1 as those two numbers that you're seeing here and here. And that will actually dramatically improve your focus performance. Yeah, and that's pretty much, those are some of the main quick things that come to mind. I think also under the focus menu, there should be an option to choose focus point options. I don't know. More or less. Sorry, there's a lot to unpack here, but you should be able to find somewhere in the menu, and maybe I'll make another video later when I've got more time. But there's an option in this menu where you can customize or choose what focus options are available to the user. It might be under here, and that is cool because you can kind of just limit the different focus options that you've got available, and as a result that means that you don't have to cycle through 10 different options. You might just cycle between the 3 you use the most, which is just super handy. Also, energy saving mode on. I think it adds a little bit of a delay in terms of waking up the camera, but for me, I just make sure I'm always aware of what's going to happen, so my cameras are kind of half on, and then boom, no problems there. And that saves, I think that actually really stepped up like a significant amount of like battery time. I remember the last video I shot, I had 20% battery left and I had shot 1800 frames on the camera, so that is awesome for me. And also let me just see, airplane mode is another thing you could probably enable. I don't know if it's redundant, but if you've got the other things turned off, but either way, it's just another thing that you could do to save yourself some extra battery. So hopefully that's helpful for you. And yeah, that's the video. That's the video, guys. Enjoy.